All right, everybody, welcome back to another Sharp Angle Syndicate show. We've been working on a great name for the show. Guys, I'm thinking about calling it the Sharp Angle Show. I ran it through a focus group. It's got to be good. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good, Ryan. Good.
I'm doing great. Great to
You're
be here
vibing the
again.
pickleball down there. That's Stevie Shrimp. We've got Smitty from Notebook Wagering. If you're not catching their podcast, you need to. Great shows coming up. We're going to have some fun tonight. Look at a little NBA, maybe some Major League Baseball, and some quick thoughts on the college baseball NCAA tournament. There's value out there. It is tricky that if you don't know what you're doing, it can be an absolute landmine of a mess. So don't be betting logos, you people. We don't want anything like that going on. Hey, I do want to start with Steve. What's this deal about pickleball? You're in some sort of pickleball league down there?
Not really a league. We just basically play pickup games. And, I played today. I played twice. I played in the morning with the retired folks, and then I stepped up in class tonight and played with the grade two players, the best that New Orleans has to offer. So
What,
yeah, we
Smitty? Have they
we getting
has
ready for a
pickleball
tournament.
exploded? Has it exploded in your neck of the woods?
Uh, I think there is around. Yeah, because the junkies are been on for forever around this area down in the DC area, and they're doing a pickleball tournament coming up. I think in maybe early July. They've been putting it out there, so yeah, it's exploding. I'd love to try it out. Like I said, I used to play tennis, just for fun, not bad. But again, I'm getting up there in age. It's tough to get around that court now. So
Hey,
shorten the court a little bit, and I might be pretty good.
Well, it's a
I
little
hear pick.
smaller than a tennis court, so you should be good. But I tell you what, it's a great game, and Drew Brees is doing a tournament down here at the New Orleans Convention Center in August, and I'm definitely gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna play for sure yet, but I'm probably definitely gonna go check it out. It should be a good event. I think it's a charitable deal, and it should be packed down there for that. I think they're gonna have like 60 something courts. They told me, so it
My
should be a
experience
good
with
time.
pickles is I want more of them on my White Castle burger. So there we go. I'm good with that. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start a little NBA? What value are you guys seeing right now? Let's talk NBA right off the bat. What do you guys want to say on that?
You want to go, Smitty?
Well, can I just say I'm very disappointed in my Celtics in Game 7. I wish they were playing tonight. It just didn't turn out well. Tatum rolled the ankle really early in that game. Brown, I mean, I said it on our show last night. I mean, Jaylen Brown, man, the guy is maybe the worst dribbler in basketball history. I mean, the guy can't dribble the basketball at all. If he goes one way, he loses the ball all the time. And they just didn't show up. And I mean, I think it was the coach. I think the coach is a little overwhelmed. White played, I thought, a really good game trying to keep him in. You heard some things. The big guy underneath was throwing up in the locker room supposedly with the flu, but I think it was somebody on our show last night said, man, every Game 7 somebody has the flu all of a sudden. It's a great storyline, so you don't know how true that is. But I wish the Celtics were in it, but they're not. So where did I go tonight? I mean, we'll dive into it. I think it's a good spot for the Heat tonight. I did do the first half +6 tonight. Just Denver's been off for a little bit. Could you catch them quick tonight? We'll have to see. The elevation's tough, but I thought this was a good spot. I did a teaser play too, but let's go to Stevie and see what he thinks overall.
Well, going back to Game 7, I made one of the biggest bets that I've made all year on the Celtics. I laid the 280. I thought it was like I really did. I thought it was free money, and it was a terrible feeling when Tatum come up limping. I knew I was in trouble. I recently had a feeling like that. I made a big teaser in the NFL playoffs when Purdy went down, and it's just, I mean, it's something you can't predict. I mean, it's like a gut punch. You just, when you got a big bet out there, it's a bad feeling. You really just gotta suck it up. But I'm gonna just tell you, I mean, Tatum tried to fight through that. I don't know why he was on the court, to be honest with you. I mean, I understand he's the best player, but when you got a guy limping up and down the court, I mean, I don't care who he is, you can't leave him out there. I thought that was a terrible coaching decision. And Charles Barkley said it best after the game. I mean, Boston wins just by having pure talenting people. Like they just win because they have talent, and They run no sets. I mean, the coach is like a deer in the headlights. I don't know. And I saw today they gave him a contract. They're going to let him coach again next year. I would have bet a lot of money he was history. That really shocked me, that they bringing him back. And I mean, Jaylen Brown, I've seen him choke it up every time. It's a key game. He just doesn't show up. I mean, dribbling is the least of his problem. He's got a heart problem. He just don't have a lot of heart, and that's a bad combination. I don't care how talented you are or how well you shoot. If you can't bring it when the chips are out there, you just, in my book, you're dead. I mean, I hate to say it, but what you do in the regular season means nothing to me.
You just got to where I wanted you guys to touch on. Both NBA and NHL this year, I think, are beautifully illustrating that we have two different sports. NBA and NHL regular season is one sport, and the postseason in those two leagues are a totally different animal now. That almost nothing you see in the regular season, I shouldn't say that definitively, but not a whole lot seems to extrapolate into the postseason for NBA and NHL right now. And as a bettor, is that something you've got to divorce yourself from what you saw for 6 months to what you're seeing right now?
Well, I'll jump on that really quick. I mean, I think the NBA, it was so tough this year, and I didn't do a lot of NBA because it's so hard because the lines come out and you want to jump on it, and then they weren't playing certain guys. They were resting guys throughout and it would come out late. I mean, it would come out really late, like right before the game. Oh, so-and-so's not playing. So I think that's really hard. And again, I think you're seeing that with the Heat right now because the Heat was, a playing game. And then they win and then they come in and beat Milwaukee. And then, I mean, as a Celtics fan, again, you're looking at that going, oh, man, we have this all lined up. I mean, we're going to get through this. We just got to get through maybe Philly here and we should be okay. And this 2 years in a row with the Celtics is, it's happening. What Stevie kind of said too, I agree with Brown. And I mean, the Celtics are in a lot of trouble here with, what are you going to do? You're paying Tatum so much money and now you got to give Brown so much money. How are you going to build around this team? But I agree, Ryan, it was hard to do this because I don't think it matters because so many of these teams rest guys. They just got to get in. And when you're in the playoffs, then a lot can happen.
Yeah, I think, we watched that with the NHL, and I watched that with, I'm not going to say my Dallas Stars because I'm not going to be one of those people, but I find it interesting that you almost have to have two different mindsets of I'm going to bet one way for 6 months, and now I've got to look at this a totally different way once we get to the postseason. Anything else you guys want to nail on NBA tonight?
I want to touch on what you said. I didn't have a chance to talk about that. The problem with the NBA, hockey, and baseball is they play too many games, and the games become meaningless. The regular season games become meaningless. It gets to the point to where they just gone through the motions, and they all know the best teams know they're going to get in the playoffs. I mean, they're not so concerned about the seeding until it gets into the last month, and that becomes a factor. But I mean, when you play, especially in baseball, I mean, they play so many games. That's why those sports are so difficult to handicap. I mean, it's just the games don't mean a lot. And it's just pitchers don't bring it every day. Superstars in the NBA don't bring it every day. They bench them. It's just it's a total crapshoot, and you have to figure out. I mean, sometimes they'll make a last minute. Well, he's not playing tonight. Well, you already bet, so it just puts you in a bad spot. I mean, that's why I tell people, NBA is just a very, very tough sport to beat day in and day out, and so is baseball. And people used to say baseball was the one sport you could beat. That's fiction. I mean, I think that's totally, especially these days with the bullpens as bad as they are. It's just, I mean, there's no lead. It's safe. I mean, you could have a 5-run lead going into the 8th inning and blow. I mean, it's crazy. When I was a kid, you rarely saw those kinds of things happen.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say tonight, Ryan, real quick, and Stevie, I did. The Heat as a dog, they're 11-3 ATS, 9 outright. So I did jump on the first half +6 tonight. I gave that out on Notebook Wagering Twitter. And the teaser king came out tonight. You see the crowns behind me. I should have had my whole outfit on tonight, but I'm not going to do it. But I did play a +14. And I said on our show last night, I thought the 219 was high. Maybe I'm going to be really incorrect on this, but I did do a teaser +14, and I did do the under 224.5 in a teaser play tonight also.
Well, I want to say one more thing about the Heat and why. I mean, I predicted that they had a shot to go to the finals just because of two things. They probably, without a doubt, they have the best coach in the Eastern Conference in Spoelstra, and they probably have the best playoff player in the East. I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player, obviously, but he don't show up in the playoffs. I mean, the guy's just not really a playoff player. I mean, he misses free throws at clutch times. I mean, that's not winning basketball. Jimmy Butler is nails. I mean, he's a clutch player, but I just feel like they're up against it with this Denver team. This Denver team is the deepest team in the NBA. They have been all year, and let me tell you something. Michael Malone is every bit the coach Spoelstra is, so he don't have that advantage here. Malone is gonna, they in for a tough. I think this could be a 5-game series. I don't think the Heat get more than one game. I really don't.
Yeah, Caleb Martin's gonna have to be big, like he was in the Boston series.
Yeah, and I'm not on a side or anything tonight. I did get on a prop a little late. I'll run it by you guys. I've got over 15.5 combined rebounds and blocks for Dikembe Mutombo. I feel good about this. We'll see. It seemed like a good number when I got it.
Can I just say we talked last night about Denver, and we brought out like Danny Fortson and Doug Moe, and we threw out a lot of names last night too. So I like the Mutombo. Yeah,
Chris Jackson, also known as Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
There you go. I like it. There you go. Some good names. Did they beat? Let me go back, and you guys can. I might be incorrect on this. They beat Seattle with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton, I think, as an 8 seed. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's about 93, 94.
I think it's the first time an 8 ever beat a 1. Huh? Was that the first time that happened? I think
that's right.
Man, I was in high school making miracles happen, fellas.
We'll go a little Major League Baseball, because I want to get your guys' thoughts on something here that I was thinking about the other day. And we try to crank out here at Sharp Angle Syndicate a couple of plays every day on the grind. You mentioned it; it's hard every day with MLB. And Steve, I'm really intrigued on your standpoint, because you've been around this for years now. The change in attacking lines, and by that I mean when you bet a Major League Baseball line, particularly side total, that you get the overnight lines. How much has it changed over the years, Steve, with the increase in legalized betting around the country? From, let's say, go back 5-10 years ago, and a line comes out overnight. Was that the time to get it? Do you get it now? Do you wait to see what happens? When, with this fluid movement of money now into the marketplace that we didn't see 10 years ago on Major League Baseball, to me, with a daily cycle like that, it's much more different than, say, an NFL game that's posted Sunday night as we watch all week. We basically got 12 hours, 15 hours on a baseball line. How has that changed for you over the years?
Well, first of all, the square action doesn't really move the lines. And I've said that before, so just because sports betting's legalized all over and they're taking a lot of, bets on the apps and all, most of these sports books, they'll know within 2 or 3 months who the sharp guys are and who's not, and they're going to cut you off. I mean, I've been cut off by at least 3 or 4 of these offshore, these online sports apps. I mean, they don't necessarily cut you off, but what they do is they'll limit you down, like the way you can bet less than $20 a game,
right,
to where you're just basically going to say screw it and delete the app. I've had to open accounts in other people's names, which they frown upon. But, that as far as that goes, it just really doesn't the squares don't really move the lines. And just because a line moves and you see the sharps moving a line, it's a 50-50 proposition. I've seen it. They're wrong as much as they're right. And that's why baseball is so tough. Guys that do this professionally and know they still have a hard time beating. And it's a money line sport. If you have a 20-cent line, it's almost impossible to beat baseball with a 20-cent line. Years ago, they had a few books that offered a dime line in baseball, and that gave the player a better shot. When you can lay $1.05 each way. But if you bet in a sport with as many days and as long as a baseball season is, and you're laying them 20-cent gaps, you're dead. I don't care. That's why we only come with 1 or 2 games a day, because it's a volume thing. They're banking on you sending volume in, and they know they're going to eat your lunch. You know, it's real simple. If you bet 5-6 games a day, you're dead. You cannot beat baseball like that. Any sport for that matter. But
yeah, Smitty, are there places you look the night before and then the next morning and see where some of that money moved? Or there's some indicator places that people can pay attention to for Major League Baseball on that front? That and let's be honest, some betting places are smarter than others.
Yeah, I said it last week. What I do is I write down stuff in my notebook at scores and odds the night before I go to bed. It's one of the last things I do before I go to bed. And then I get up pretty early. So I look again and see the movement. And then usually, like first thing I do when I wake up, Stevie usually has some information already. So that's my morning reading when I'm trying to put my glasses on and I look at stuff. Stevie has something. So there's a game like or two. I'm already going, all right. When I'm walking down,
goes off, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, Steve's got his plays ready to go. I'm going back to bed.
Or my phone's buzzing and my wife says, who's texting you at like 2 a.m? I'm just joking. So you have that, but I usually go down then and I look again and I look for movement. And then again, I'm a big VSiN guy. I mean, I always have been. We bring a lot of those VSiN guys on Notebook Wagering, and we're good friends. And I know you guys are too. Really like their stuff. I read a lot of their stuff in the day. And then there's, like I said last week, there's some people I kind of have become friends with. I kind of see what they're doing. And then again, like the gut, what it is kind of telling you what to do a little bit too. And I just look at pitching matchups and everything like this. And I agree with Stevie, man. It's hard. It's hard. You can have a 5-6 run, like lead going into the 8th. It's never safe. So it's something that I think baseball is hard. And we said this last week, you got to kind of have that mentality a little bit that you got to get over it. And if you lose and move on, because you can have a great bet. Sometimes it's just not going to work out for you, but that's kind of what I do. And, I lock in and, I agree. And I said last week, I like to fire some things. Management, my best bet, I throw a lot more than I do some of my other ones. And I kind of place it down. I do a little bit more on, I know Stevie kind of frowns on that too, but I kind of manage with it. But I've been trying to take it down too, because it's hard. I've been doing a little bit more team runs. I hit the Angels yesterday. That was a play I wish I would have gave out. I screwed up on that, but I did play on that, and that was easy. But, these bullpens, again, like the White Sox is a team I'm eyeing up. I played that twice this week with the Angels going into Chicago. If you can get a couple off the starting pitcher, the bullpen is not good. And it's like a 5-something ERA, but baseball's so hard. And I'll just say this, then I'm done on this point. You have the Braves that have been playing great, and man, Stevie gave that out, and I played the
nailed it on. Yeah.
And that first game, that Sunday night game, flying out there on Monday was just gold. And Stevie called it. I played the team run over, and I gave it out on Twitter. But that's hard. But then the next night, you would have thought for sure the Braves were going to come back. No, what did they do? They just won again. That's how hard baseball is.
Yeah, it's definitely, but that's the kind of things you have to look for at situations like that. Atlanta wasn't getting out of there till 11:30, 12 o'clock. They got to fly across the country, jet lag. They checking into the hotel 4 or 5 in the morning. They're not getting rest. And then they, Oakland sitting there waiting for them, and they haven't won a game, and they're licking their chops because they know, they got to win, and then they throw in their best pitcher. So it was just a perfect storm, and I just getting plus 200. When I saw that, I was like a pit bull going after a raw piece of meat. So it is what it is. But, back to your point, Ryan, I will say this one thing. If you're going to look at line moves, the best thing you could do is find where the offshore, if you see a move offshore, that's usually a better indicator than looking at the apps and the Vegas casino line moves, because they open the lines first offshore and they invite more sharp action offshore. They take they'll give a sharp guy a limit of 5 or 10,000, where these apps are not going to do it. I mean, they're going to invite, like I know some guys that work at BetChris, and they know, they have a guy that used to work at BetChris, and he's a professional bettor, and they'll let him fire into him for 3,000 to 5,000 just because they want to see what he likes, and then they can adjust their lines accordingly. So that's a little bit of an indicator. If you're looking for a cheat code on shopping lines and seeing which way the money's moving, that's the best indicator. Check like they usually have the offshore books on scores and odds at the last one, and I would look at that, weight that one higher than you do the rest of them.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. All right, we got a few more. And by the way, this conversation right here, for you guys who haven't made the decision to sign on with Sharp Ankle Syndicate, this is the kind of stuff you can expect when you sign on. The great plays like Oakland earlier this week. I think just by nailing one Oakland win, that was like 12% of all the wins they've had this year. We were on it. That's not bad right there. So you need to sign up for us. We got 3 different plans that are going to be workable and affordable for you. And I promise once you get going with Sharp Ankle Syndicate, you're going to want to stay with this. Very bankroll friendly. Before we get out here, some real quick thoughts. NCAA baseball tournament. There is value there, Smitty. You've been crushing it with college baseball all year long. And you guys on Notebook Wagering, what are you looking at as we go into the regionals? Because the NCAA tournament, an interesting animal. You've got the regionals played one way, 4-team tournament, double elimination. Super regionals are best 2 of 3. Then we go to the College World Series, and it's a combination of the two to go win the whole thing.
Well, I know you're excited for the Gainesville with Texas Tech as a 3 seed going in there. Florida's really good. My buddy Q that does Notebook Wagering, that's his team. And I mean, I know he's into that, but that Texas Tech team's a little, I think they're going to get in the finals against Florida. So we'll have to see. No, I think there's some really good ones out there. I think the Stanford one, I think Texas A&M's heading out there. I think Texas A&M's really pitched well in their tournament last week. I think that could be a dog that could play. They're a 2 seed out there. I'm just trying to go through my notes. I got to do a show here in a couple of minutes with Notebook Wagering, doing some college things. The UVA one is a really good one. You got UVA, East Carolina. We might even try to actually go down there and try to catch a game, myself and Q, this weekend. But that's a really good one. A couple I like, you got Clemson, Tennessee. And, I like Tennessee and kind of this one. They're again a 2 seed, so not a big upset. The only thing that scares me a little bit, they're 5-14 on the road this year. But again, 38-19, RPI's 20. Clemson's unbelievable right now. They've won 16 in a row. I mean, that team's really come out of nowhere. Now they're hosting and everything in that. But that I think is a really good one. One again, I'm gonna drop a 3 seed in a second. I like Iowa against Indiana State's hosting, and good for them. And Larry Bird's not on the team. So for everybody, he's not on the team. And when you hear Indiana State, that's what you think of. But Iowa has a really good 1-2 punch in the pitching staff there. I think Iowa can get through that one. But just going through my notes here, I like, and Ryan, you can jump in on this because Oklahoma State. You got Holiday, Coach Holiday really has a great program and everything like that. A team that I bet a lot on this year, I like Dallas Baptist. I think they're a good team, 18-9 on the road. RPI 16. I think that's a good team. And the team you got to watch out. A lot of people, if you dive into this, and my buddy Q does a great show with Matt Grissom, College Baseball Insiders and everything. Oral Roberts, a lot of people have been talking about them. If you really look at them, RPI 76, 23-7 on the road. So that's another really good team in that one. I think that one's going to be a fantastic little region right there. Oklahoma State, like I said, is a very good team. But I think, again, I'm a fan of Dallas Baptist. But, I mean, keep an eye. If you really want to throw a little pizza money on a team, maybe to get through Oral Roberts, maybe. And I think they're up to I think they have 18 wins in a row. I think they're just doing unbelievable right now.
Yeah, Dallas Baptist always has a ton of Big 12 level talent. They've really done a nice job with the transfer portal the last 2 years of getting some guys in. I agree with you on that. Tennessee's playing angry from last year. They didn't make it to Omaha. They were maybe the most talented team that didn't get there. I'll go big picture on some things for people. Make sure you know the pitching rotation and or just the starters. It's hard. We don't know for sure Tech and UConn tomorrow, who UConn is going with as of right now. Could be Quigley a right-hander, could be Coe a left-hander. Know who's pitching. also understand with some of these 1 versus 4 matchups, some of these top seeded teams in the regions may not throw their number 1 guy. If they think they have a decided big advantage over the 4 seed, they may use their 2 guy or even their Saturday or Sunday starter, saving their 1 guy for a potential matchup against the 2-3 seed in a win. Some teams get caught and beat doing that. Sometimes it makes what looks like a potential blowout a closer game. And then the other thing I would say, if you have options for in-game wagering on these games, look for the potential blowout. It could get even bigger because a coach will take and save his bullpen, and he won't fight hard. If he gets down early in a game, in this first game of a tournament in a regional, he may sacrifice and throw out some dog meat pitching to save his bullpen because he knows he's got to come through and win 4, potentially play 5 games to get through it. So you see some big numbers open up. But what they're really doing is saving the bullpen for the next day. So that team that maybe gets boat race day 1 in a regional, look and see who they pitched. They may have pitching lined up the next day to come through the losers bracket. A great resource. Go to the blogs and some of the fan websites and the student stuff, the SB Nation things. College baseball is hard to get information on teams. Those are where you can go find some good information on these baseball teams. You can get some nuggets and actionable information, but you got to dig deep down a little bit because it's really hard, as you know, Smitty, just on a daily basis trying to get major college baseball information out there.
It's very hard. And that's why I'm so happy, one of our guys is Q, and he really dives in this, and him and Matt are doing a fantastic job. So I get a lot of information with that. But I think that was a great point. I mean, just be careful with, the pitchers tomorrow, because like you said, 1 against 4, they're probably going to hold back a little bit and go with somebody else and try to go at. So there's a lot of great 2 and 3 seeds in some of these things. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a battle, and it's one of the greatest things going right now, I think, is college baseball. And I think a lot more people should kind of dive into it a little bit and get excited and look into gambling with it. Because, like, again, you can have really good odds and everything like that. And I think another good thing, if your site has an over-under, as this goes on, some of these teams will get taxed with their pitching.
Yes.
Stevie said major league pitching bullpen's a little iffy. Man, some of these college bullpens are real bad. And you can keep an eye on this over under with that too. So
absolutely. Again, the 4 seed, track your 4 seeds tomorrow. If a 4 seed gets beat up bad by a 1 seed, they may not have much left after that from their starting pitching standpoint. The next day's game, if they got beat up pretty bad, it could really balloon because you're going to have either a 2 or a 3 seed that's going to be really good playing that 4 seed that might not be so good. That 2 or the 3 seed, they're in a loser's bracket. They know they've got to win. The bats are going to come out. Steve, what do you got before we get out of here? Anything fun?
Oh, no, not really, man. It's been a long day. I'm just glad that we got to do this show and, touch on the NBA and a little baseball. I do want to say one thing about the hockey. I mean, I'm kind of taking some interest in the hockey. I think that's the best bet right now. Florida's really impressed me. That goalie they have is lights out, Bobrovsky. I knew he was the real deal a couple years ago when he played for the Blue Jackets, because the Blue Jackets were a bad team, and they won a lot of games in the playoffs based off of his goaltending. And I knew if he got with a better team, they would be really live to win the Stanley Cup. And Florida's a good enough team. They have enough pieces around him. I think they're going to win this. I mean, I was looking to see, all of the teams that Vegas beat. They really haven't beat the top tier teams. I mean, Colorado was the best team in the West, and they went out and, Florida's beaten some serious teams. I mean, to beat Boston and then Toronto, I mean, they're battle tested, and I really think they're the better team here. I know Vegas is fast, and they can, they got some guys that can do a little magic around that net, but I don't think they're going to get that goal. I don't think they're going to score many goals on this guy. He's lights out. He's I made a bet tonight on them to win Florida to win the series. That's all I have riding tonight.
All right. Give me a couple of days. I will get us somebody from Canada. We will talk hockey here on the Sharp Angles show. Smitty, appreciate it. I know you got to run, get some stuff going there with Notebook Wagering. Steve, thanks. Rest up, ice the pickleball hamstrings. We don't want you to be on the disabled list for any time. And you guys, we appreciate you watching. Go to our website, Sharp Angle Syndicate. Sign up. Get ready to win. We'll see you soon here on the Sharp Angle Show.